How you doing, everyone? It's Kevin. I'm back with another video here. I'm going to be building, we just put one on a video on about using the log splitter, and I figured, you know, I've been wanting one of them, I don't even know the right name for them, but I know you hook them on the log and you can roll the log over, or you can stand the log up so you can cut it with a chainsaw. And a friend of mine had one, and I got a few measurements off of it. I'm going to see if I can build one myself here in the garage. Now, they're not really that expensive. I think they're only around $50, but I think I could build it for way under $50. I don't think I have to spend anything on it. So let's get started. I'm going to show you what it looks like and what I have to go by. Okay, this is just kind of a rough drawing. I did this right on the back of the truck so I can get an idea of how this thing's supposed to look and some type of the measurements on it. Now, getting it to work, we'll see. We'll try it out. We'll see how it works. But that's what we're going to build. And like I said, I got as many measurements as I could. So we'll see how it goes along here. And I'll try to give you guys all the measurements that I actually use when I'm building it. Now, the first thing I'm going to start out with is just a piece of pipe. Let me see if I can get a measurement on that pipe. Now, that is not the same type of material his was made out of. His was made out of some cheap metal, and his was actually bent in the middle. So I'm going to build mine. I do believe this is a very heavy steel. Let's see. It looks to be about 1.5 inches around. So this is going to be a pretty good piece of stock to be able to pull on, and hopefully it won't bend. So let's get this thing cut down. We're going to cut it 51 inches. Okay, we got our pipe cut. Now we're going to be working on the little hook that's going to go on the end of there to latch into the log. So that's going to be our next step. And here's what I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut that hook out. This is going to be the hook that'll hook into the log. And this piece here will actually set inside the pipe and be welded in the pipe. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to go ahead and get this guy cut out. I'm just going to use a 4-inch grinder. And we're going to cut it out the best that we can. And then we'll grind it up and hopefully it'll work. Okay, on cutting this up, first step I got to do is cut this metal in half, because we're going to need 2 of these hooks. This is 1/4 inch thick steel. This is about 1.5 inches wide, each one of these. They're going to be a little bit less than 1.5 inches. But once we get it all ground down, and I'll get the measurement on it just to make sure, I think this might be around 3 inches by 1.5 inches this way. Pretty much a 3x3 block of 1/4 inch steel. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this guy in half. Now that we got it cut in half, I'm just going to take the 4-inch grinder and start working my way around this guy right here and trying to make a hook out of this thing, because it has to be able to hook into a piece of wood like a log. Now that it's all roughed out, what we're going to do is we're just going to take a regular grinder. We cut what we could. Now we're going to grind it out and make it look like a spike. A nice hook. Alright, I'm going to take that thing and put it on the sander. See if we can sand it down a little bit. Get it nice and cleaned up. Alright, now we got the hook. This is going to be the bottom hook that mounts in the pipe. I'm not sure whether I got the right hook on it or not. I think his just had a straight point. Mine has a little bit more of a hook. Hopefully it'll dig a little deeper into the wood and hold it up on there better. Just hopefully it's not too sharp and it sticks in there. That might be a problem too. So we'll see. Okay, my next step is going to be putting this all the way through this piece of pipe. from one side to the other. So I'm going to cut a slot out of here. I'm going to cut this slot out, and I'm going to put this through there, and I'm going to weld it inside there. So both sides will be supporting this one hook. All right, let's get this guy cut out now. Okay, I got that all cut out, both sides. And this thing fits in there really nice. I could actually probably tap it in and get it in there a little tighter. But I think maybe I want this thing bent a little bit more. I think I could have made my hook a little bit straighter. I think that looks better there. But yeah, I think that looks better like that. So I may just weld it in there like that. It's tilted, but it looks really like a good hook. So I think that might work okay. So let's take this little piece out, take it over here to the table, and show you guys. We're using 1.5 inch pipe. Okay. And this guy is about 1.5 inches. So it's going to go, you know, it's just as wide as our pipe. And the whole thing overall is about 3.25 inches. So, and 1.5 inches of that's going to be in the pipe. So you got about, you know, 2 and 3 or 1.75 inches outside the pipe. Should make for a pretty good hook. Now I just free-handed this on here. I think I could have left some more of this in here. I don't think I had to take all that much out of there, because this may end up sticking in the wood too tight. I'm not sure. But you should be able to wiggle it out. Hopefully it don't bend or anything. We'll get some big old logs and put it in and try it and see how it works. And you know, I really don't have a blueprint. All I got is some numbers I've written down off of another one, but I'm trying to actually build my own instead of one like theirs. Theirs just had... His just had a point on it. It was just cut in just a V, like an arrow type thing, and but no hook on it. So I'm hoping that this one's going to work out. So we're going to go ahead and get this one put into the end of the pipe over here. Okay, I got it all welded. It's not the greatest, but I think it's going to hold up good. We're going to take the grinder to it, clean it up real good, and I think it'll be fine. I think it's going to look pretty good on there. So we'll go ahead and get it ground up and cleaned up and start on the next part. All right, so far we got a 51 inch. This is our bar, 51 inches. We got it cut. We have our little hook built. Now we got to build a bracket right here, and then this big hook here that goes around the log. So for this bracket that I need to weld to the beam, to the bar, I got an old piece of this is just an old piece of square stock. I don't have any thickness metal like that, and that's a pretty thick metal. I'm kind of looking for that size. And it's about, I'm going to say 3/16 thick. And that's a good heavy steel. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a couple pieces out of the side of this and make these little brackets right here that's going to hold my other arm that will help pick up the log. So let's go ahead and cut some pieces off of this piece here and see what we can do with it. See what kind of design we can come up with. Okay, we're just going to go ahead and cut one side out. I'm almost thinking that one side might work, so we'll go ahead and get it cut out. Now I'm just going to take the piece that I had cut out of here. I got it in the vise. We're going to cut it in half, so we have two nice little pieces of steel, 3/16 thick. All right, now I got 2 plates of steel here. One will go on this side and one will go on the other side. They'll kind of clamp together like this. I mean, if they're not the perfect size, we'll cut them down as we need them here. But what we'll do is we'll drill a hole through this. And I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to build the hook out of. This guy right here, the hook right there. I'm not sure what I'm thinking about. I have this piece of 3/4 inch dowel. I was thinking about throwing it in a forge and flattening one end and getting it to where it could go in between these 2 brackets, and then put the hook on the other end, and then I can just forge the hook out so it would hook into the wood. So I haven't figured it out yet, but when I do, I'll get you guys back in here and let you know what I'm going to do. Well, I've decided I'm going to forge this out. I think I can forge this out to about 1/4 inch thick, and probably wouldn't take me as long as going around trying to find a piece of square stock. See, I wanted a piece like kind of rectangle, maybe something 3/4 inch by 1/4 inch thick, but I can't find any. I don't have any here, but I got this 3/4 inch stock. I'm just going to try to flatten about 2 to 3 inches of this and get it down to about 1/4 inch thick, and then we'll put our 2 plates on it and we'll get them drilled out. So we're going to go ahead and get this forged out flat. Alright, I got it in forged, got it heating up. We'll be able to flatten that end out there and hopefully be able to bend this thing and everything right in the forge to put on the end. Okay, pretty cool. We got to use the forge a little bit. I enjoy working with the forge, but it's been so hot. It's actually pretty cool today. So we got to do a project with the forge. And not only that, we're going to bend this thing in there and we're going to sharpen the other end. So this is going to be one solid piece that'll hook to the log. And this is how it's going to go together. We got these 2 pieces right here. We're going to clamp these together, and I'm going to use a 3/8 bolt, and we're going to put a 3/8 bolt through there and snug them up a little bit. I'm going to try to get a little spacer in between here, because I don't want this really tight on there, and I don't want it really loose, but I want a little bit of play in there because we don't want this thing seizing up on us. So just a little bit of play is not going to hurt it, I don't think. We'll see as it goes along here, but we're going to go ahead and get the 3/8 hole drilled in these plates. All right. Alright, now here's the two pieces we drilled, and I put a 3/8 bolt through there. I took that to the sander. So I got one side that's flush. This will be the side we weld to our pipe, our pry bar. Now we can take this over to the vise and put it in the vise and round this edge off a little bit and round that off and square that up real easy with a grinder. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Get this thing squared up and rounded up, make them both look identically the same. Okay, we got it all grinded down, took it on the sander. It looks pretty nice. So now we'll just take our bolt off now. We should have no problem knowing which direction this thing goes because they're both the same. Let's get rid of this guy. Now we should be able to put this guy in here. Hopefully this is going to work out. Now, I thought about putting a washer in here, maybe, and then putting this one on, and then just tightening this up a little bit. That might be a little too loose. I'm not crazy about it being too loose. Let's see what it looks like if I just don't tighten it too tight. Just put it on. Might be okay if I just don't tighten it real tight. Just kind of finger tight. And then we're going to get this now. See, this will be able to swing up and down. This should be able to go up and down pretty easily. That's what our goal is. So we're going to get this attached to our pry bar. So let's get on our pry bar now. Looking this thing over. Let's clean up a spot where we want this on the pry bar. We want the bolt about 10 inches up from the tip. So I got it marked 10 inches up on the pry bar, and we're going to go ahead and see if we can clean off a spot to put this guy. Alright, what I've done here is I kind of lined this up like a gun, looking down the barrel of a gun. I'm trying to get that thing back here lined up so this little tooth would look like it's going through this piece back here. So I'm just kind of lining it up. It's not perfect there, but I think it really looks nice. And I'm about 10 inches. I might be a little over the 10 inches, but we'll be able to use, we'll be able to roll bigger logs. So let's go ahead and get this guy welded on here. And then we can take this back off and maybe get it drilled in the forge and finish the outside of the end, because we need a bend in this. It's got to come up and then bend down with a hook on it. And hopefully we can line that hook up with that hook right there. Okay, we got it all welded on there. It seems to be working pretty straight. When I put it up this way and put it down here, it's a little bit off of the pipe up there, but it's dead center here. So this is our main part anyhow. So as long as this is straight on, I think we're okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to call quits for the day, and then tomorrow we'll come out here and we'll measure up so far, and then we'll know where our bend is going to be, and then we'll sharpen this end. We'll put it in the forge and get it sharpened and make a hook out of it. So we can then we can bend this and match the hook up with that hook, and that way when you put it on a log, it'll clamp on your log there. I guess it might work out pretty cool. Okay, so we have this on here now. We got this done last night. Today we're going to heat this up. Now this is 8 inches from that bolt to there. About 8 inches. Now, the last time we thought it was 12, but it's not. We're going to do about 8 to 8.5 inches. Somewhere in here, we want to get this thing melted or heated up. And then we're going to bend it down to meet this guy here. So, that's what we're going to work on next. So we're going to heat this up in the forge, and then we're going to get that guy bent around there. We got our bend on there. I don't know exactly what the bend's supposed to be. So now what I want to do is we want our tip to end up right by this one here. So I think if I take it down in here and cut it off and then bend that around, hopefully we can get this tip to match that tip there. So we're going to cut it off probably right in there, and then we'll try to forge our tip, our hook. Alright, you can see here, I'm a little bit off on this, but I'm going to take this over to the grinder, and I'm going to straighten the rest of it up with the grinder. I don't need this to be that long, so I'll probably shorten it down a little bit and give it a nice sharp point that'll go into the log. So we'll be able to clamp on the log. Now it has a little bit of play in it, but I think it's good. It still lines up decent. Now, we're probably going to weld a little plate in here to keep it from going closed any further. And then I'll weld a plate in the back of this, maybe just a piece of dowel, to where when this comes up, we don't want it to go too far up, because when you roll your log over on it, this is what's going to hold the log from rolling down the handle. So we got a few more things. We're going to go ahead and straighten this out and get it to line up, get the point on it that we want, and clean that piece up like we did the bottom. Alright, we got a couple small pieces of dowel here, 3/8 dowel. We're going to weld a piece on this side and a piece on the back side, just so we can have a stop for our wedge or our hook. We don't want the hook to go too far one way or the other. So we're going to go ahead and weld these guys in there. Alright, you can see now that these are not touching now, and we don't want them to touch. Because you're not going to roll a piece of, if you have to roll that little piece of wood, you shouldn't be getting wood. And then, now when you roll your log over, it's going to stay in this area right here. It can't keep going. This is going to keep it from going on back any further. So, that's why we put the little wedges in there. And I think that's going to work out great. Now we got to start on the bottom piece. I have another piece that's got to go on here. The little T that you're going to pick the log up off the ground with. And I'll show you how that's going to be done. Alright. Now what I'm doing here is I got this little block of steel. I'm going to be welding it onto here. And then we're going to slide this piece up on there. And it's actually going to have the T on it that will hit the ground. So when you lift it up, this doesn't sink down in the ground. It gives it a little foot to rest on. Alright, what I've done here is I cut 2 pieces of the same pipe that's up here. We got that 1-inch piece welded down there. And we're going to make a T for on the bottom of here so we can fold our log up. So we're going to go ahead and get this welded on. All right, now you can see we have the T, and we're gonna drill a hole through here and put a bolt in here. That way we could always take this off and just use this part, or put it on and use both parts. Now eventually, I'm gonna throw a bolt in it for now, but I was gonna get a clip, a pin that would just slide a pin down through there and clip it. That way you could take you wouldn't need a wrench to take it off. But right now, I'm going to put a bolt on it, because guess what? I ain't got a pin. So, we're going to get a hole drilled in that and get it set down on there. Okay, now here's the piece that we had just mounted on. We welded this on. We drilled a hole through it. And we can take it off and just use that piece to roll logs, or we can put this piece on and put our bolt through here, which I'll have a pin that'll clip over around this, and that'll work pretty nice. This guy is pretty much finished. All we got to do now is get it painted up. Everything works the way it should. Hopefully it'll work on a log the way it should. So what I'm going to do now is clean my table off and get this guy painted up. Make it look pretty. Well, the log roller's all finished now. We was going to paint it green, decided not to because we'd probably never find it if we laid it down in the woods. So we painted it yellow. Shouldn't have any problem finding this thing. It should stick out like a sore thumb. In the next video, we'll take it out and give it a test, see how it works. If we have to do any type of modifications to it, we'll do it in our next video. So I'd like to tell everybody thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe, leave me thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment if you'd like. Till next time.